The alarm rang through the orbital station like a scream. Red lights flashed on every wall. Soldiers ran through the metal hallways with weapons in their hands. Something big was happening. Captain Park Doan stood at the main window of the station called Cheongryong. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. Outside, in the darkness of space, he could see them. Ships. Hundreds of ships. They were coming toward Earth. How many? He asked. 342 vessels, Captain, said the young officer next to him. They appeared from nowhere. No warning. No signal. Doan took a deep breath. Humanity had been waiting for this moment for 200 years. First contact with alien life. But nobody expected it to happen like this. Nobody expected a fleet. He pressed the button on his communication device. All stations, prepare for possible combat. Do not fire unless I give the order. The ships came closer. They were strange looking. Their design was old, almost primitive. Dohan had seen pictures of ancient spacecraft in history books. These alien ships looked even older than those. They had no smooth lines, no elegant curves. They looked like they were built by people who were just learning how to fly. But still, 300 ships was 300 ships. Dohan was not going to take any chances. Then the message came. Captain, we are receiving a transmission, said Lieutenant Kim Yuna. She was the station's expert in languages. If anyone could understand the aliens, it was her. Put it through, Dohan said. The voice that filled the room was soft and gentle. It did not sound like a threat. It sounded like a prayer. People of the blue world, the voice said. We are the Valori. We have traveled for 3,000 years across the stars. We come in peace. We come to protect you. Dohan looked at Yuna. She looked back at him with confusion in her eyes. Protect us? He whispered. From what? The voice continued. Our ancient prophecy told us of your kind, the gentle ones of the blue world. The prophecy said you would face a great darkness. We could not let you die. We have come to save you. The transmission ended. The bridge was silent. Every officer stood frozen, trying to understand what they had just heard. They think we need saving, Yuna said quietly. Dohan did not know what to say. Humanity had faced many challenges. War, disease, climate disasters. But they had survived everything. They had become strong. They had built colonies on Mars and stations around Jupiter. They had weapons that could destroy planets. They did not need saving, but these aliens did not know that. They had spent 3,000 years flying through space because they believed humans were weak and helpless. Tell them we accept their visit, Dohan said finally. Invite them to dock. Yuna sent the message. Within an hour, one of the alien ships separated from the fleet and moved toward the station. It was smaller than the others, probably a transport vessel. Its metal was dull and scratched from centuries of travel. Dawn gathered his best officers and walked to the docking bay. Soldiers lined the walls with their weapons ready. Nobody knew what to expect. The door of the alien ship opened with a soft hiss. White steam poured out. Everyone held their breath, and then the Valori appeared. Dawn felt his mouth fall open. He tried to close it, but he could not. Next to him, he heard Yuna make a small sound of surprise. The Valori were small, very small. They barely reached 1 meter tall. Their bodies were round and soft, covered in fluffy lavender fur. Their eyes were huge and dark, like the eyes of baby animals. They walked on short legs that made them wobble slightly with each step. In their hands, they carried weapons. But the weapons looked like toys. Thin sticks with small crystals at the end. Dohan had seen children play with more dangerous things. The leader of the group stepped forward. He wore a small cape made of silver cloth. His fur was slightly gray, showing his old age. He raised one fuzzy hand in greeting. "I am High Guardian Miro," he said. His voice was the same soft voice from the transmission. "We are honored to finally meet the people we have sworn to protect." Dohan looked at his officers. He saw the same thing in all their eyes: shock, confusion, and something else. Something that surprised him. Sadness. These little creatures had traveled for 3,000 years. They had crossed the entire galaxy. They had left behind their home, their families, their whole world. And they did it because they believed they were saving humanity. They did not know that humanity was already safe. They did not know that a single human warship could destroy their entire fleet in minutes. They did not know that they were as helpless as newborn babies compared to the species they came to save. And looking at their big, trusting eyes, Dohan knew he could never tell them. "Welcome, High Guardian Nero," he said. He kept his voice warm and respectful. "We are grateful for your arrival. Earth has been waiting for heroes like you." Miro's eyes grew even bigger with joy. His fuzzy tail wagged behind him like a happy dog. The other Valori made sounds of celebration. Yuna stepped closer to Dohan. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "We should tell them the truth." Dohan shook his head slowly. "Look at them, Yuna. They gave up everything for us. Their whole lives. Their whole civilization. They believed in us when they had never even met us." He watched as the Valori looked around the station with wonder and excitement. They pointed at things and talked to each other in their soft language. They looked like children visiting a museum for the first time. "We cannot break their hearts," Dohan said. "We cannot tell them that their journey was for nothing, that their sacrifice was meaningless." Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "So what do we do?" she asked. Dohan turned to face the Valori with a smile. In his mind, he was already planning what he would tell his superiors on Earth. "We let them protect us," he said. "We let them be the heroes they came to be." And so began the greatest act of kindness in human history. Not a war, not a conquest, but a simple choice to protect the hearts of those who came to protect humanity. Nobody laughed that day. Nobody mocked the small, furry aliens with their toy weapons and ancient ships. Because everyone understood something important. True strength was not about power. True strength was about compassion, and humanity had never been stronger. They came to protect humanity. We didn't have the heart to mock Part 2. The protectors. The meeting room in the Soul Command Center was full of the most powerful people on Earth. Admirals, generals, and politicians sat around a long table. Giant screens covered the walls, showing maps of the solar system. At the head of the table sat Admiral Beak Jisu, the commander of the entire Terran fleet. She was 60 years old, with gray hair cut short like a soldier. Her eyes were sharp and cold. She had fought in 3 wars and won all of them. She was not a woman who smiled easily, but today, something strange was happening to her face. She was trying very hard not to smile, and she was failing. On the screen in front of her, a group of Valori were presenting their battle plans. High Guardian Miro stood on a small platform so everyone could see him. Behind him, a diagram showed their strategy for defending Earth. "First, we will position our Guardian ships in a circle around your planet," Miro explained proudly. "When enemies approach, we will fire our plasma lances. The concentrated energy will create a barrier of light that will confuse and frighten the attackers." Jisoo bit the inside of her cheek. A barrier of light. Their main defense was a barrier of light. Ensign Cho Taiwu sat in the corner, quietly typing on his tablet. He was young and nervous, only 23 years old. His job was to analyze the Valori technology and compare it to human weapons. He leaned toward his supervisor and whispered, "Sir, I have finished my calculations. Their strongest weapon produces about 3.2 megajoules of energy. And our standard side-on? The supervisor asked. About 38 megajoules, sir. The supervisor closed his eyes and let out a long breath. A human pistol was 12 times more powerful than the best weapon the Valori had. Miro continued his presentation with great enthusiasm. Our warriors train for 5 years before they are allowed to fight. We learn the ancient arts of combat passed down from our ancestors. The screen showed videos of Valori training. They moved slowly and carefully, like dancers performing a ritual. Their movements were beautiful, but completely useless for real battle. Jisoo remembered her own training. The brutal exercises. The simulated battles that felt like real death. The pain and blood and tears. Human soldiers were forged in fire. The Valori were shaped with gentle hands. When the presentation ended, Miro looked at the human leaders with hope in his big eyes. What do you think? Are you pleased with our protection? The room was silent. Jisoo could feel the tension. Everyone was waiting for someone else to speak first. Finally, she stood up. Every eye in the room turned to her. High Guardian Miro, she said. Her voice was calm and steady. On behalf of all humanity, I thank you for your dedication to our safety. Your plans are impressive. We accept your protection with deep gratitude. Miro's face lit up with joy. His tail wagged so fast it became a blur. The other Valori in the room cheered and hugged each other. After the Valori left, Jisoo called an emergency meeting with only her most trusted officers. I know what you are all thinking, she said. You want to tell them the truth. You think it is wrong to lie to them. General Oh Junho raised his hand. Admiral, they are living in a fantasy. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Their ships have no shields. Their weapons are toys. If they ever face a real threat, they will die in seconds. I know, Jisoo said. Then why did you accept their protection? Junho asked. Jisoo walked to the window. Outside, she could see the Valori transport ship sitting in the military landing zone. Its old metal was like something from a museum. When I was a child, she said quietly, my grandmother used to make paper cranes for me. She believed they would protect me from bad dreams. I knew, even as a little girl, that paper cranes could not really stop nightmares. But I never told her. Do you know why? Nobody answered. Because her belief was real. Her love was real. The cranes were just symbols of something much more important. Jisoo turned back to face her officers. The Valori crossed the galaxy because they believed we were worth saving. They gave up their home, their resources, their future. All for us. Strangers they had never met. She sat down heavily in her chair. In my 60 years, I have seen humanity do terrible things. Wars, murders, cruelty beyond imagination. But I have also seen kindness, love, sacrifice. The Valori remind me of the best parts of us. The parts worth saving. The room was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Jisoo made her decision. I am creating a new protocol. Codename, Soul. From this day forward, we will accept the Valori as our protectors. We will never reveal the true difference in our power. We will help them succeed in their mission without them knowing. How? Taiwu asked. We will work in secret. We will strengthen their ships without them noticing. We will give them victories they can be proud of. We will let them be the heroes they came to be. General Junho shook his head. This is madness, Admiral. We cannot lie to them forever. Not forever, Jisoo agreed. Just until we find the right way to tell them. The right time. The right words. She looked around the room at her officers. I need you all to understand something. This is not about pity. This is not about thinking they are weak. This is about respect. They gave everything for us. The least we can do is give them a purpose. One by one, the officers nodded their agreement. Even Junho, though he still looked troubled. The Sol Protocol was born that day. It would become the greatest secret in human history. Thousands of soldiers, engineers, and scientists would work together to maintain it. And not one of them would ever break their promise, because they all understood the truth. The Valori came to protect humanity. But in the end, humanity would protect them with lies. Yes, but also with love. And sometimes, love means protecting the heart of those who would protect you. As Jisoo watched the Valori ship lift off and fly toward the moon, she felt something she had not felt in years. Hope that maybe humanity was worth saving after all. They came to protect humanity. We didn't have the heart to mock Part 3. The deception of kindness. 6 months had passed since the Valori arrived. They had built a guardian outpost on the moon. From there, they watched over Earth like protective parents watching over a sleeping child. Dr. Shin Yoonji arrived at the lunar base on a cold Tuesday morning. She was a xenobiologist, a scientist who studied alien life. She was 34 years old, with long black hair that she always kept in a neat braid. Her job was to learn everything about the Valori, their biology, their culture, their history. But she had not expected to make a friend. His name was Kale. He was a young Valori warrior, only 50 years old by their counting. That made him almost a teenager in human terms. His fur was a bright shade of purple, not yet faded by age. His eyes were full of curiosity and wonder. They met in the observation room, where large windows showed the blue and green of Earth below. Yoonji was taking notes on her tablet when Kale walked up beside her. "It is beautiful, is it not?" he said softly. "Your world." Yoonji looked at him. Up close, he was even smaller than she had imagined. His head barely reached her waist. His paws were tiny and delicate, like a child's hands. "Yes," she said. "It is. We have a saying on my world," Kale said. "A thing of beauty is worth protecting forever. That is why we came. To protect your beauty." Something twisted in Yoonji's heart. This small creature, this gentle being, had left everything behind for a planet he had never seen. His whole life was dedicated to protecting strangers. She spent the next few weeks talking with Kale every day. He told her about Valori culture, their music, their art, their dreams. She recorded everything, but she found herself caring less about the science and more about the stories. One day, Kale told her about their home world. "It is dying," he said quietly. They were sitting in the base cafeteria, drinking warm drinks. "Our sun is growing old. Our oceans are drying up. In perhaps 500 years, there will be nothing left." Yoonji felt her blood run cold. "But why did you not use your resources to save it? Why did you come here instead?" Kale looked at her with his big, innocent eyes. The prophecy was clear. The gentle ones of the blue world would face a great darkness. "We could not let you perish. Your survival was more important than ours." Yoonji could not speak. She could not breathe. These creatures had chosen to let their own world die so they could save humanity. They had given up everything, absolutely everything, for strangers. They had never met and humanity did not even need saving. That night, Yoonji sent an urgent message to Earth. General Oh Junho received it personally. When he finished reading, his hands were shaking. The next morning, an emergency meeting was called. The highest leaders of humanity sat together in a secure room. Admiral Baek Jisoo listened as Yoonji's report was read aloud. "Their home world is dying," the officer reading the report said. They had two choices: use their resources to save themselves, or use their resources to come to Earth. They chose us. The room was silent. Jisoo could hear her own heartbeat. "They sacrificed their planet," another officer whispered. "For us." General Junho stood up. His face was pale. "We must tell them the truth. We must tell them that their journey was unnecessary. that we could have saved ourselves, that we can save their world. If we tell them that, Jisoo said slowly, we destroy everything they believe in. Their prophecy, their mission, their entire purpose for existing. 3,000 years of hope, gone in a single conversation. But it is the truth, Junho argued. Is truth always kind? Jisoo asked. Sometimes the truth is a weapon. Sometimes it hurts more than any lie. Commander Yoon Mei-rei, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. There might be a way to do both. Tell the truth and save their hearts. Everyone looked at her. What if we let them complete their mission first? Mei-rei said. What if we give them the victory they came for? And then, after they succeed, we reveal the truth. We tell them that they did save us, that their journey had meaning, and then we offer to save their world in return. Jisoo leaned back in her chair, thinking carefully. It could work. But how do we give them a victory? There are no threats to Earth. We have been at peace for decades. Mei-rei smiled grimly. Then we create threats. Fake ones. Enemies that look real but can be defeated. We stage battles that the Valori can win. You want us to lie to them even more? Junho asked, shocked. I want to give them what they crossed the galaxy for, Mei-rei replied. A chance to be heroes. A chance to fulfill their prophecy. Is that really so wrong? The vote was close, but in the end, the majority agreed. The Soul Protocol would continue, but now it had a new mission, to create threats for the Valori to defeat. Teams of engineers began working in secret. They built fake enemy ships. They wrote fake distress signals. They created an entire fake war for the Valori to win Dod. It was the greatest deception in human history. And it was all done out of love. Yoonji returned to the lunar base the next week. When she saw Kale, she felt the weight of her secret pressing down on her chest. Dr. Yoonji, Kale said happily, his tail wagging. I missed our talks. Will you stay longer this time? She looked at his trusting eyes, his innocent smile, his tiny paws that could barely hold a weapon. Yes, she said, forcing herself to smile back. I will stay as long as you need me. And in her heart, she made a silent promise. She would protect Kale and his people. Not with weapons, not with power, but with the only thing she had thought kindness taught, even if that kindness was wrapped in lies. They came to protect humanity. We didn't have the heart to mock Part 4. Warriors of the Heart, Commander Yoon. Myra stood in the control room of the secret base called Shadow Station. It was hidden in the asteroid belt, far from any eyes. Here, the greatest lie in human history was created every day. On the screens before her, she watched a fleet of old ships being prepared for battle. These were not real warships. They were empty shells, controlled by computers. They would pretend to attack, pretend to threaten, and then pretend to be destroyed. And the Valori would believe they had won. Target Alpha is ready, said one of her officers. The fake distress signal will broadcast in 3 hours. The Valori patrol will receive it in 4. Mei-rei nodded. Good. Make sure the enemy ships retreat after taking damage. We want the Valori to feel like they earned the victory. This was the 10th mission in 3 months. Each time, the Valori had fought bravely against empty ships. Each time, they had celebrated their victory with songs and dances. Each time, Mei-rei had felt sick to her stomach. She told herself it was necessary. She told herself it was kind. But late at night, when she could not sleep, she wondered if she was a monster. The mission went perfectly. The Valori patrol, led by High Guardian Miro himself, intercepted the enemy ships and destroyed them all. The celebration lasted for 2 days. But the next mission did not go as planned. It started with a real distress signal. Not a fake one from Shadow Station, but a real cry for help from a colonial transport ship near the edge of the solar system. 50,000 human passengers, families, children, all of them in danger. And the attackers were not fake enemies. They were the Iron Dawn, a group of human separatists who hated the Terran government. They wanted to destroy the transport as a message. Moray's blood ran cold when she heard the report. How did this happen? Where were our patrol ships? 30 minutes away, Commander. Too far to help in time. And the Valori? The officer's face went pale. The Valori patrol is 5 minutes away. They've already changed course to intercept. Myray felt the floor drop beneath her feet. The Valori were flying toward real enemies. Real weapons. Real danger. They would be slaughtered. She grabbed her communication device and called Captain No Hinwoo. He commanded the Hansando, a stealth destroyer. It was invisible to all sensors, even Valori ones. It was the most advanced ship in the human fleet. Hyunwoo, I need you at these coordinates immediately, she said, sending the location. The Valori are about to engage the Iron Dawn. Hyunwoo's voice came back confused. The Iron Dawn? That is not one of our staged missions. I know. This is real. The Valori do not stand a chance. We need to save them without them knowing. There was a long pause. Then Hyunwoo spoke, his voice steady and determined. Understood. We will be there in 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Myray prayed it would be enough. On the Valori patrol ship, High Guardian Miro stood at the front of the bridge. His crew of 20 warriors surrounded him, all of them ready to fight. Their plasma lances hummed with energy. Their eyes burned with courage. There, Miro said, pointing at the screen. The enemy ships. They threaten innocent humans. We must stop them. The Iron Dawn fleet was small but deadly. 5 ships armed with modern weapons. Against them, the Valori had 3 patrol vessels with outdated technology. It should have been a massacre. But Miro did not know fear. He had waited 3,000 years for this moment. He had trained his whole life for this battle. He would protect humanity or die trying. All ships, attack. He commanded that the Valori fleet move forward. Their weapons began firing, sending beams of light toward the enemy. The shots were too weak to do real damage, but the Valori did not know that. What they also did not know was that the Hansando had arrived. The invisible ship positioned itself behind the Iron Dawn fleet. Captain Hyunwoo watched the battle on his screen with sweat on his forehead. Fire on my command, he said to his crew. Target their engines only. Make it look like the Valori weapons are doing the damage. The timing had to be perfect. Every time a Valori ship fired, the Hansando fired at the same moment. The enemy ships began to spark and smoke. Their engines failed. Their weapons went offline. The Iron Dawn captain was confused. His sensors showed only weak energy coming from the Valori weapons. But his ships were dying. Retreat, he screamed. All ships retreat. The enemy fleet turned and ran. The Valori cheered with joy. Miro raised his tiny fist in the air. We did it. We protected the humans. The prophecy is true. On the Hansando, Captain Hyunwoo let out a long breath. His crew was silent, watching the Valori celebration on their screens. We saved them, Hyunwoo said quietly. And they will never know. Commander Myray received the report an hour later. The colonial transport was safe. All 50,000 passengers survived. The Iron Dawn was scattered and broken, and the Valori believed it was all their doing. She sat alone in her office, staring at the wall. Her hands were shaking. Today, she had saved lives. Real lives. But she had also added another layer to the lie. Her door opened. Dr. Shin Yoonji walked in, her face troubled. I heard what happened, Yoonji said. You did the right thing. Myray laughed bitterly. Did I? I just told them another lie. I made them believe they are powerful when they are not. I made them believe their weapons work when they do not. Yoonji sat down across from her. Do you know what Kale told me yesterday? He said this was the happiest time of his life. He said he finally feels like his existence has meaning. He said he is proud to be a Valori warrior. Ray looked up. We gave him that? Yoonji said softly. We gave all of them that. Is that really so wrong? Ray thought about the Valori celebrating on their ship. She thought about Miro's joyful face. She thought about the songs they would sing tonight. No, she said finally. It is not wrong. It is the kindest thing we have ever done. And for the first time in months, she felt at peace. They came to protect humanity. We didn't have the heart to mock Part 5. The Truth We Keep, the Battle of Vega Minor, became the most famous event in Valori history. Songs were written about the brave warriors who defeated the darkness. Monuments were built. Children learned the story in school. Guardian Miro became a legend, but one Valori did not celebrate. She sat alone in her room, reading old books and watching the stars through her window. Her name was Elder Suri, and she was the oldest Valori alive. 400 years old, with fur so gray it was almost white. She had seen many things in her long life. She had watched the great ships being built. She had waved goodbye to warriors who never came back. She had kept the ancient prophecies safe when others wanted to destroy them, and she had noticed things. Small things. Things that did not make sense. Why did human ships always arrive after Valori victories? Why did human engineers want to add decorations to Valori buildings? Why did human soldiers smile with sad eyes when they watched Valori celebrations? Suri was old, but she was not stupid. She spent months studying human technology, human history, human culture. She read their books. She watched their videos. She analyzed their weapons, and slowly, she understood the truth. She requested a private meeting with Admiral Baek Jisoo. The request surprised everyone. The two leaders had never spoken alone before. They met in a small room on the lunar base. No guards, no witnesses. Just two old women from different worlds, sitting across a table from each other. Jisoo studied the ancient Valori. Suri's eyes were not innocent like the other Valori. They were deep and knowing, like the eyes of someone who has seen too much. Thank you for meeting with me, Admiral, Suri said. Her voice was thin and tired. I will not waste your time. I know the truth. Jisoo felt her heart stop. What truth? I have studied your kind for many months, Suri said. Your technology. Your weapons. Your ships. I have compared them to ours. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. Your standard pistol is more powerful than our greatest cannon. Your smallest warship could destroy our entire fleet. Your shields are so advanced that our weapons cannot even scratch them. Jisoo said nothing. She could not move. The Battle of Vega Minor was not won by Valori warriors, Suri continued. It was won by human ships hidden in the shadows. Every victory we have celebrated was a gift from you. A beautiful, kind lie. The room was silent for a long, long moment. Finally, Jisoo spoke. How long have you known? 3 months. Perhaps longer. Why did you not tell your people? Suri smiled sadly. It was the first time Jisoo had seen a Valori look sad. Because I understand why you did. In 3,000 years of traveling the stars, we have met 17 intelligent species. 12 of them tried to enslave us. 4 of them ignored us completely. You are the first to protect our hearts. Jisoo felt tears forming in her eyes. She blinked them away, but they kept coming. You let us be heroes, Suri said softly. You let our journey have meaning. You could have laughed at us. You could have mocked us. You could have sent us away like foolish children. But instead, You gave us the greatest gift we have ever received. Purpose. You are heroes, Jisoo said, her voice breaking. You crossed the galaxy on faith alone. You gave everything for strangers. That is not something we staged. Suri reached across the table and placed her tiny paw on Jisoo's hand. And you gave up the chance to mock us? You gave up the chance to feel superior. You chose kindness when cruelty would have been easier. That makes you heroes too. The two women sat in silence, connected by a bond deeper than words. Finally, Suri spoke again. What happens now? Jisoo wiped her eyes. We want to help you. We want to save your home world. We have the technology. We have the resources. We can stop your son from dying. Suri's eyes widened. You would do that? After we came to your world uninvited? After we pretended to protect you when you did not need protection? You came to save us, Jisoo said. Now let us save you. A week later, an announcement was made to both species. Admiral Big Jisoo and High Guardian Miro stood together on a stage, facing cameras that broadcast to billions. Today, we announce a new alliance, Jisoo said. Not protector and protected, but equals, partners, friends. She turned to Miro, who looked confused but happy. The Valori came to Earth to save us, she continued. And they did. Not with weapons, not with power, but with something far more important. They reminded us what kindness looks like. They reminded us what sacrifice means. They reminded us that true strength is not about how hard you can hit, but about how much you can love. Miro's eyes filled with tears. He did not fully understand what Jisoo was saying, but he felt the warmth in her words. In return for their gift, humanity will share our technology with the Valori. We will work together to save their dying world. And we will protect them, just as they came to protect us. The crowd cheered. Humans and Valori stood side by side, crying and laughing and hugging. Later that night, Dr. Shin Yoonji found Kale sitting on the observation deck, looking at the stars. Are you sad? She asked, sitting beside him. No, Kale said. I am thinking about my grandmother. She died before I was born. She was one of the first to believe in the prophecy. She helped build the ships. She used to say that one day, the gentle ones of the blue world would thank us. He looked at Yoonji with his big, innocent eyes. She was right. Yoonji smiled through her tears. Yes, she was right. Centuries later, the galaxy would tell the story differently. The official histories spoke of the Valori who crossed the stars to save humanity, and the grateful humans who honored their sacrifice. Only the leaders of both species knew the full truth. That humanity's greatest victory was not won with weapons. That the strongest thing they ever did was choose not to mock small, brave creatures who wanted to be heroes. And somewhere in the archives, there was a single line from Admiral Big Jisoo's personal log, written the night of her meeting with Elder Suri. They came to protect us. In the end, we protected each other. And that is what mattered. The Valori world was saved. The alliance lasted for 1,000 years. And whenever humans felt like they were losing their way, they remembered the small, furry aliens who crossed the galaxy on faith. They remembered. Kindness. And they remembered that true power is knowing when not to use it. The end.